Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Velocity Sellers Podcast. I am your host, Velocity Pete, and today we are joined by Paul Ojampa, a business and e-commerce specialist. Paul, thank you so much for coming on today to talk to us about e-commerce and Amazon and really just a variety of different things. I'm excited to have you on today to discuss them.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Pete. I appreciate that.
First things first, as we always do, I want to give our guest a chance to explain themselves. More so to give us all our viewers an insight into their background and kind of how they got into the e-commerce space and how they've developed their certain set of skills, to quotes taken. So Paul, if you wouldn't mind giving us a quick intro into who you are and kind of how you, again, got your experience.
Absolutely. So I've been doing e-commerce as a job and a hobby since I was a teenager, right? So I started this back up in high school. I had a friend of mine who was big on eBay. His father was big on eBay at the time, and he had a pretty massive store, when I was young, back in elementary school. And by the time I was 15, I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to get into that too. I want a piece of that too. And he was kind enough to kind of take, me and a few others under his wing. And he really helped show us the ropes on how to get into it and showed us some suppliers and things like that. And we just hit the ground running and got going. So yeah, been doing this since 2012. So it's been a wild ride. It's been a lot of fun ever since.
And you've got your own eBay business, but also you're an account manager for an agency, or what's your current work situation? Like where what have you been doing for the past, I guess not, since you've been doing eBay for the past couple of years, but
right.
Where else have you gotten e-commerce or Amazon experience?
Yeah, I've worked for a few different companies as well, just in the e-commerce space. Also, those companies run their own stores and do it on their own scale as well. So basically, same thing I do, just on a bigger scale, usually when I'm working for another company and on more marketplaces and things like that. So I've been on, most of the main marketplaces that are out these days.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you about your experience and any kind of hurdles or excitement that you've seen on all of those places. So I want to get right into it with eBay. I want to hear about your eBay experience. That's an area that I myself am not super duper familiar with. One that I've sold and maybe bought like one or two things total on eBay.
Okay.
And I'd love to hear more about just again the ups and downs, like what makes it special. Should some sellers consider eBay as another platform to possibly gain more exposure, gain more traffic? Give me the rundown on really getting started and beginning on eBay.
Absolutely. So if we go back in time, think 10, 15 years ago, eBay was a popping marketplace. It was really big. And it was before Amazon really took off. And nowadays, a lot of people just look to Amazon, or they want to buy things on the Target website or the Walmart website or things like that. But they kind of seem to overlook eBay now. But eBay, it's still a very powerful platform because of the freedom on it. Because on these other platforms, there's a lot of different types of restrictions for different items, for whatever that may be. But with eBay, you have a lot of freedom to list, almost anything. They do have some restrictions as well, but you can list almost anything in any condition. I mean, you name it, you could go there. So with eBay is definitely an opportunity you should exercise and try out for anybody who's in the e-commerce space.
I will tell you, this might come across as bad to you, but I'm a sucker for Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
I'm in the same sense there. I already have the Facebook app. I had the eBay app too, I guess, but I'm a sucker. So is that a direct competitor? I mean, have you seen a lot of different, have you seen a lot of changes since Facebook Marketplace has become a thing on eBay, or has become a thing, and the changes to eBay?
Yeah, I would say not so much. I think they kind of have their own space where they can both thrive and kind of independent of each other. Facebook Marketplace, there's certain things that are a lot more difficult to sell on eBay. For instance, I've sold a bed on Facebook Marketplace in the past. That would be tough to sell on eBay. You could do local pickups on eBay, but it's just not going to be the same type of audience. So Facebook Marketplace, I would say Facebook Marketplace is good for big items. Say you got a car, a bed, furniture, whatever. That Facebook Marketplace is great for that. But smaller stuff, if you want to really reach the masses, you want to reach a mass audience. Say you have a used game console. I have a used PlayStation 3. You're going to reach a lot more people putting that on eBay than you will Facebook Marketplace. And you're going to get the most money out of it.
Yeah, I hear. Actually, you bring it up. That's a good point. I hear what you're saying a little bit about the idea of when I put something on Facebook. Usually, it's people that are like, "Oh, I can come pick it up. I'm nearby," and you could do the shipping too. But I guess you're right. That's not really their main forte. It's more of here's what's in your area. And I've seen some pretty. My buddy Jared and I have seen some pretty weird things on Facebook Marketplace. It's almost like almost like a social media where you can just scroll through and see what is this person selling. How did this person even get this? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's some stuff on there. But yeah, no, I agree. And I think you make a good point. Like I said, it's different genres of sellers and really of buyers.
Yeah, absolutely.
You talked also about the freedom on eBay. Can you give me some examples of just what exactly, comparing that to either eBay or comparing eBay to Amazon or to Walmart? What are some of the differences? What are some of the freedoms that you get on eBay that you wouldn't really understand or have on Walmart or Amazon?
Yeah, when you're creating listings, there's just certain things that Amazon, especially Amazon, is the strictest, and Walmart too, and other marketplaces as well. They want specific attributes for products like UPC codes and just technical stuff like that. They want a lot more of that information, whereas eBay, you don't technically have to even have a UPC code for anything. You could just take a picture of it, describe it, throw it up there. You don't have to have any of that information. So I think that's the biggest thing.
Wow, I mean, that is good and bad, right? I mean, it's definitely nice to have that freedom, but I know having that control gives maybe the buyers a little more confidence. But yeah, no, I like the fact, I like the sound of that. So yeah. Anything else really specific to eBay or maybe even unique to eBay makes it maybe more of a play depending on what kind of product you're selling?
Yeah, because certain platforms have a lot of restrictions too with what you can list. Like Amazon, for instance, a lot of products you need to get brand approval, and in order to get that brand approval, you have to have a proof of a sales invoice or something like that. So you actually have to go out and have an official sales invoice in order to even get approval to list for a certain brand. So there's also, a lot of compliance things on Amazon too, like, for certain types of products. Like, say it's a lava lamp, for instance, Amazon may have an issue with that because of certain chemicals or substances within that lava lamp. But eBay, you could just throw that up there.
Wow.
So there's a lot of technical stuff that can keep you from selling certain things. And let's give an example. Say you're primarily buying products for Amazon, and you this product sells well on Amazon. You buy a lot of units. Say you got 60 units of it. What if something happens to it on Amazon where that listing gets taken down, or there's a compliance issue and you can't sell it on Amazon? Well, I still have 52 units left. So what am I going to do with it? You can filter that over to the other marketplaces that have less restrictions, so you could still move that product and still make your money back, and not let that just be dead product that you can't do anything with.
Yeah, not eat the cost of storing it for however long. Very cool. Yeah, I know there's a lot of those on Amazon that you could get flagged for or taken down for. So yeah, no, definitely an option. Yeah, and I'd love to hear more about just kind of the whole process of getting an eBay account open. I mean, is it simple like Amazon where you just put in your information and bada bing, bada boom, your account's open? And like you said, listing the products is very easy, but I'd love to hear more about, again, also the strategy of what you put up there and how you get more clicks and more into I guess the growth of an eBay account. If you have continuously refilling inventory and a stable product where it's not just, oh, I have one extra of these, I'm going to sell it. Like, do you see people constantly bringing in and refilling inventory? I know I just threw a million questions at you, but definitely want to get with how easy is it to get an account open and really get started?
I'd say it's pretty simple. I mean, it's a pretty standard setup process for as any other marketplace, but it's probably a little easier. You just have to give most of your personal information that's required for sites like that. Bank accounts and addresses and things of that nature. So you got all that information in. But I mean, I personally haven't set up an eBay account in many years, but to get that thing set up, you could probably do that in an hour or two and get listing the next day.
Yeah. And then, so it's listing. So is there any kind of strategy you put into there? I know, on Amazon, there's a million different things that you can do to make your listing more attractive or more appealing or get more clicks, yada, yada, yada. Like, what are some of the, are there similar strategies? Is it different? Like, how does it stack up on eBay?
Yeah. So like any marketplace, you want to make your listings look professional. You want to make it look good. If it looks good, people see that and they'll want to buy it. So obviously you want to try to get as good quality photos as possible. So you want to get those up there, and you want to have, a strong, powerful title. With eBay, you get 80 characters for your title. So personally, I use all 80 characters to put in as many descriptors of that product as possible. So whatever that may be, the color of the product, the size of the product, whatever that may be, put in as many descriptors as possible, because when people are searching that, any of those things, that product will come up when you search that. So eBay likes information. They want you to fill out certain information, and when you do that, they'll place you higher in searches. So for each listing, they have something, I believe it's called they have required item specifics that you need to fill all of those in order to list the item, and then they have additional recommended item specifics, and that's where you can really increase your listing relevancy in those additional item specifics. Whereas if you fill all of those in, your product will shoot to the top. So
Yeah, and then speaking again of that, I'm just really getting into the rabbit hole here of every time I ask a question, you make me want to ask another one about it. So
oh yeah,
the ranking on Amazon is keyword ranking. If someone types something in, you show up the top there. Is that similar to eBay? Same thing? How do products? Because I'm thinking when I go on eBay, I don't even know what I would be looking for. Generally when I go on Amazon, like, oh, I need whatever this is. But on eBay, I'm thinking, oh, I'm looking for something specific, or I'm looking for maybe it is like product research, or I'm looking to see if it's cheaper here than in store or something like that. But how does ranking work? Is it the same thing? Is it keywords? Is it just this many units sold? Is there like a featured section? Give me the rundown on eBay ranking.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different factors that go into it. Like I said before, like, keyword descriptors, putting in item specifics, that's one thing, but it also has to do with where your seller account is at. Do you have a lot of feedback? How is your feedback percentage? If you don't have a great feedback percentage, that may push you back a little bit. Do you have an eBay store? An eBay store, opposed to a regular eBay account, is going to push you up higher in those searches because you're paying a monthly subscription to place your stuff higher, and you get, you get more things out of eBay when you pay for that. So that'll push you higher. So, and does your listing, or does your store sell a lot of units, sell a lot of sales volume? Those things factor into it too. So like, the more established account you have, the higher you're going to appear. So there's a lot of different factors that go into it. You just kind of want to work on all of those things to optimize your placement and search results.
So it's almost, I don't want to say it, but it's almost like kind of like a pay to play kind of thing, where if you have this subscription, you will get placed a little bit higher.
Yeah, to a degree, but that's just, one of the many things that go into it. So it's kind of each little one of those things is a piece to help maximize your opportunity. So it's definitely a piece of it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it makes sense. Amazon's pay to play. You gotta, if you really want to rank on these advertising keywords, you gotta pay the pay per click. You gotta pay the advertising budget. You gotta boost it up. So
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that. I'm just wondering if that's exactly, like I said, it's a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the entire thing. So very, very cool. Very cool. And I'd love to learn more about too, like the Amazon or I'm comparing apples to maybe oranges here, but I'm thinking what's on there on Amazon, or I'm thinking what's on eBay that's also maybe on Amazon. So do you guys, so you said you just upload your images, stuff like that. Can you do anything like A plus content, a brand story? And you mentioned eBay store, but is there like a page dedicated to your store that you can customize and show off your different products and all your different lines?
absolutely. So eBay store gives you more customization as far as that goes. Like you have it's basically a real online storefront as if you were to have a website or something like that. Whereas if you have a regular eBay account, there will just be a link that'll say view seller's items, and it's just your seller name and a list of all of your items. But if you have an eBay storefront, you can customize all sorts of things like color layouts, product placements. If you say you want to feature these top 6 or 10 products in your store, these are the products I want to feature. You can control that. So it gives you a lot more control with all the customization.
Very cool. Yeah, I know. And then, like you mentioned earlier, eBay loves information, and I know, again, I keep bringing it back to Amazon's my bread and butter, but yeah, Amazon, same thing. They want as much information to give to the customer as possible. So it makes sense that eBay would realistically want to do the same. I'd love to talk also about how is eBay changed in the last 5-10 years, since you've been on it, really. What kind of new features have they added? What's brand new? What's coming out? And we can talk more about the future later. But like, up to now, what has changed and what has given you really like a sense of, oh wow, eBay is really trying to keep up with Amazon and with maybe other places like Temu and Shein and stuff like that.
Yeah, so with where all the other e-commerce platforms have gone in the past 5-10 years, with Amazon skyrocketing and Walmart.com's pretty big and things like that, eBay has done little things to try to keep up with them too. I remember in the early 2010s, it was effective, but it was a pretty simple setup. It was just a lot more simple. But now to keep up with all the other platforms, they've added a lot of things like sales reports, financial reports. You can see a lot more about order data. You can go a lot further back with order data. Just a lot more seller tools, I would say, have come into play since then.
Very cool. I'm always big on innovation. I want to see and competition in the marketplace. I always want to see these other places changing and evolving to compete with Amazon and Walmart and these big guys. And I definitely want to see eBay ahead of Temu and Shein. No offense if either of those companies are watching, but not a fan of your products on the website. So, but still, very cool to see them giving reports and stuff too. Again, thinking of the times that I've sold or bought something on eBay, it's usually just been a one-off product. And it's especially, again, comparing it to maybe to Facebook, where it's not so much Amazon, where you're constantly sending in new products and you're constantly refilling inventory. I have a PS3 or a Sega Genesis or a Nintendo 64 or something, some classic. And I know PS3 is not really that classic. I guess I could have said a just original PlayStation. But either way, you've got this one product that you just want to get rid of, and then boom, you're done. But for you, who's a constantly replenishing inventory on your eBay store, what is that logistics side of things like? What is the process of sending in new products to refill it and keep your customers happy?
Yeah, so I think that's mostly about just experimentation, trying things out, seeing what works, and then when you sell those things and you want to go back to restock, you have some ideas of where to go back to. Say you tried a pair of shoes that did really well, so you could go, hey, I'm going to go back to the store, get 3 more pairs of those, put a quantity of 3 in the inventory, and I'm going to see how they do, get multiples of inventory or things like that. So it's just kind of going back to the things that have done well and the things that work. So, and the more you do it, the more experience you have, the more you know it works. So it's just always a learning process of what works and what doesn't.
Very cool. And I mentioned replenishing inventory, but I'm thinking now, does eBay have a logistics network, or is it fully you ship everything?
Yeah, eBay is pretty much you just ship everything.
Okay.
Obviously there's like third party companies that you could send inventory to that you sell on eBay through. So you could take that route, but eBay's not like Amazon or Walmart where they have their own fulfillment centers that you send to and things like that. So it's mostly just you ship it yourself.
Mm-hmm. And can I ask, do you use one of those third parties, or are you shipping it yourself?
I ship all my eBay products myself, but I have used some of those third party companies as well, and that can be definitely really useful if you need the space for it, and sometimes it's better profit margin to do it that way. It just depends on the fees and things like that. So sometimes that could be used to your advantage, and you can even have a competitive pricing advantage by doing that. So
yeah, and speaking, that brings up another topic. Speaking of fees, it's this rabbit hole. Every time I ask a question, you have a good answer, and it comes back with like, oh, that's a good point. Speaking of fees, what are the fees like on eBay? Is it just a one-time selling fee? Is it, is that determined by the price of the product? Is that determined, like, what factors go into determining the fees? And really, again, what are the fees?
Yeah, it's mostly determined by the category that the product is in. So you typically get, even for the basic account, you get about 150 free listings a month.
Oh.
But if you surpass that, you would have to pay an initial listing fee. But outside of that, I believe there is just there's a final value fee, which is that's just based on the percentage of the sale, and that's also based on category. Like they might take more money out for shoes than they will for video games, or vice versa. But yeah, it's just that. And then there's also like a one-time like final selling fee. I think it's like 40 cents per unit or something like that. So it's like one little flat rate fee, and then there's another fee that's based on the percentage of it.
So that's not bad. It makes sense. I would imagine they're not just doing this for free. It's not just like Facebook. Facebook does actually take a percentage as well. If you do their shipping, you ship it through Facebook, they'll make you pay for their label. Interesting, yeah. But it makes sense why eBay would do this, and that's how they make their money, I'm sure. But I'm assuming another way they make their money is through advertising. Now, is there, and I might be wrong about that, but is there eBay advertising? Like there's Amazon advertising? Like if someone searches something, can you bid on that search phrase, that keyword phrase, or is that not a thing on eBay?
Yeah, so they have their own sponsored products as well. Kind of sort of like Amazon with the paid ads. You could sponsor a product and set that advertising for a certain amount of time, and then that's yet another factor, like we were talking about before. That's another factor that'll go into optimizing search results, obviously, if you do paid sponsored advertising. So that's another thing that can help shoot your listing up if it's worth paying the fee for it. So yeah, that can definitely be a way to draw more attention to your listings in your store.
Very cool. And like you said, I'm sure it's probably more worth it to do this if you have a storefront where you can maybe get in someone that's a repeat customer that says, oh, this guy has a lot of this product, or oh, he's also got this, he's also selling this item, I'll get one of those too, kind of thing, to get as many sales opportunities as possible. Yeah, very cool, very cool. Like I said, this is not a topic I was very overly familiar with on eBay, so it's great to learn more about it. The other thing that, again, came to mind was, so Amazon every product has their 30-day return guarantee on there. And I would imagine eBay's pretty on top of, I would think, because they're not doing any of the product handling. They're pretty secure with, if you send something that's not the product you promised, there's some sort of penalty, there's just sort of, reimbursement or coverage, some sort of insurance on there. Is that the case? Like if I buy something off eBay and I get it and it comes in and it's completely not what I thought it was, what steps do I go about to make that right or to make myself whole?
Absolutely. So there's there's buyer protection on eBay. Absolutely, for anything that you buy. I would advise any customer, um, unless it's something like really obviously bad. Say you bought a brand new T-shirt and it has a big stain on it. Then I mean, I don't know if you really need to communicate with the seller at that point. But I would advise any customer to contact the seller directly if it's an honest mistake, and work it out with the seller before you get eBay involved in it, because that'll just operate more smoothly for everybody. But if a seller sends you something that's just totally wrong, the item did not come as described, you can open an item case and eBay will review the situation, and they'll reimburse you and make sure everything is right for you, and you didn't lose out. So yeah, there's definitely buyer protection there.
Very cool. And do you see that? I made up a pretty, I don't know, maybe a pretty wacky scenario, but is that something that happens often, do you think? Is that something that you personally run into ever? Or is that something that, not really, that's like a once-off type of, it doesn't happen often kind of thing?
It happens from time to time. It depends. I've experienced that on the buyer side, and as any seller goes, every seller is going to make a mistake here and there. So you experience it on the seller side too. But like, for instance, like I bought a graphic T-shirt from a seller one time, and it's shown in the photo shows it as like it's a nice original real like graphic T-shirt. And then I order it and I receive it, and it's just one of those, like those print-on shirts where you just take an image from the internet and you just like print it on, and it's just like an iron-on. And, that's just something you can buy a $2 T-shirt in the store and you just iron on an image. So I'm like, you totally misled me with this listing. So I want to be reimbursed. And they refunded me right away, because they know that if they don't do that, then I'm going to open an item case against them. And if I win, that goes as a strike on their account. So it's a lot easier for the seller to just refund me and do the right thing rather than take the strike on their account for it.
Yeah, you mentioned sort of a similar thing to account health. I could imagine that would be brutal for any seller to get any number of. I'm guessing it's 3 strikes and you're done. But it would. I'm assuming it would be brutal to get any kind of strike on the account. I'm sure that would ruin something with your potential sales, or just your overall account health.
Yeah, so I would say that's another way eBay has a little bit more freedom there than, say, Amazon. Amazon, if you get a strike like that or something goes wrong, it could be like, it's almost like a fatal thing. Like, oh no, they're going to suspend, I can't ship anything to the fulfillment center for 2 weeks now, or my account is shut down for a week just over this little thing. They're definitely not like that. Amazon is very cutthroat about it. The main thing that affects on eBay is there's something called a top-rated seller status, which is basically if you meet certain benchmarks as a seller, then you're recognized as a top-rated seller, and that's also another thing that helps you in search results. So that can help you place higher in search results. So if you say a buyer opens an item case against you and they win, that counts as an item defect in your seller account. So when you have X amount of item defects, you're not going to be eligible for top rated seller. So it's going to hurt you in those types of categories if you want to maintain good standing for that.
Yeah, so a few different ways that you just really want to sell what you're selling, not kind of doing any tricks there. I'm sure that seller maybe has gotten people with the shirt thing where no one was the wiser. They didn't think, oh, this is this isn't what I was supposed to get, kind of thing. But it's interesting, the kind of the level of maybe potential shadiness you can do there. That's kind of, I guess, like one of the maybe one of the cons of having a little too much freedom, but it's good that they have that buyer reimbursements and the buyer protection as well. So again, very, very cool of eBay to keep that going. And I'd also love to, as a sort of a finale for the eBay question, or I guess I have two more questions for you about eBay that I'm thinking. and I'm sure more might come up even. But what are reviews like on eBay? Is that prominently shown like it is on Amazon? You have to kind of dig for them a little bit? Do you get an average rating like a 4 point something out of 5? How do those work on eBay?
eBay is a little different where kind of like we were discussing before, a lot of eBay listings, a lot of times it might be just, I listed something around my house and it's just like a one-off thing. Whereas Amazon, you're either creating a new established listing or you're jumping on an already established listing that could have been there since 2017. It could have been there for a long time. So with those established listings, it gives some longevity for customers to leave reviews on said product. Whereas eBay, you don't have as much opportunity to see reviews like that for items specifically because, you might just sell it one time that it's gone. But say you have a quantity of 10 and you sell 2 and one customer leaves a review, then that review will show on that page. So you have to and you do have to dig a little to see that, but they do have that. And then the other reviews are seller reviews, which is basically feedback, seller feedback. So when a customer can leave positive feedback on your product or after you sell them something. So that's where buyers can write a little blurb of, seller did great, seller shipped the item faster, whatever they'd like to say. So, yeah.
Very cool. And I guess same thing. If I would have thought a little bit harder, I'm sure people are going to be laughing at me for asking that question. Because like most of the things are just one-off. You sell it one time. And like Facebook too, my seller rating on Facebook Marketplace is like, I think a 4.8 out of 5. And I got one 4-star one time because someone gave me 4 stars. So the guy was great, really on time. Came out with the product all ready to go. Boom. And I thought, well, why didn't you give me 5? Well, what was the 4 for? But I didn't. Whatever. So I'm at a 4.8 on Facebook Marketplace. Okay. Not to brag, but a little bit to brag. But yeah, it makes sense. Seller reviews, I can imagine, would also really impact all the different badges you get, like the top seller kind of thing, and where your products get shown and all that stuff. Because just same thing with Facebook. You see if you're on Facebook or even if you're on Amazon, you see a seller review and it's like, well, this guy, the seller, or you see a badge on one of the products says this product is often returned. On Amazon, your immediate thought is, I'm not going to buy that then, which is really
right.
It's just really stinky for the people that have it on there. But maybe you shouldn't have a product that's easily returnable, or you should have a better product. I don't know. So for sellers, same thing. Maybe you should ship the right product and ship it on time and get it to people. So very interesting. Very, very interesting. Well, I would love to wrap up our eBay discussion on the simple question of what is the future of eBay? Where do you see it going in the next 5 years? Is AI becoming a big thing on there? Do you think, speculation-wise, do you think they'll add any similar features to Amazon, to Walmart? Could they possibly add their own distribution network one day? Give me some speculation. Give me some conspiracy, some Joe Rogan level conspiracy theories on eBay in its future.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think eBay, like I said towards the beginning of this, I think eBay will always kind of have its own place regardless of the other marketplaces, just because of its individuality with its freedom and things like that. There's just certain things you can do on eBay that you can't do on the other marketplaces. But they're definitely going to have to continue to do things to keep up with the other marketplaces as well. Like you said, a fulfillment center, that could be a big move for eBay sellers, and that could help growth a lot. So if they implement things like that, that would be great. And also, you mentioned AI. eBay has actually already started using AI as well with the product descriptions, because product description, when you create a listing, it's towards the end of the page. So you've already filled out a lot of your item specifics and details beforehand. So they have AI that will generate a product description for you. A lot of times you could just take a look at that and maybe tweak a couple little things, but you already have a good product description there for you already. So they're definitely already jumping into that game as well. So
sweet.
Yeah, they're definitely doing little things to stay relevant as well.
Very cool. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. Well, Paul, I want to give you a chance also to give us any final thoughts on whether or not e-commerce sellers should be using eBay. Is eBay something that businesses should be taking a look at, investing in, and opening a store in?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just another opportunity for you to sell more. It's another opportunity for more income. Uh, like we've talked about before, there's a lot more freedom and different things you can do on eBay. So if you run into something, it's a great backup marketplace that you could use for Amazon or Walmart or whatever you like to use. It's a and say you just have stuff sitting around your warehouse, just throw it up on eBay. So
Yeah.
it's just more opportunities. So I think you're only going to help yourself if you create that as an opportunity as well.
Yeah, and I love the idea of, something happens, God forbid, something happens where your listing gets suspended on Amazon, and boom, you go over to eBay, and maybe
Yeah,
you sell through
exactly.
all those units. Maybe you got 100 of them, and you burn through all of them. Maybe it takes a little bit longer, but you're still not losing money on them. So yeah, very cool. Like I said, I didn't know anything about. I knew very very little about selling on eBay before today. So I want to thank you, one, for coming on and talking to us about it, and also just about just coming on the episode in general and informing me, giving me more of a knowledge base to speak from when talking about eBay now moving forward. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on today. This was a lot of fun. Love discussing all this with you. So thanks for having me on, man.
yeah, we've had a couple of good episodes where I just meet these people for the first time, but we have great discussions, and it's very easy to talk to my guests. So Paul, thank you so much for being one of those easy to talk to guests. And really, again, thanks for coming on today.
Appreciate it. You too. Have a great one, man.
Everybody, thanks for watching. I'm Velocity Pete, and we will see you next week.